When the old man in the empty bus depot starts counting passengers who aren't there, never wait for your bus. I never believed the rumors about the abandoned bus depot on the edge of town. Most of us grew up hearing about it, how buses still pulled into the station at night even though it had been shut down for decades. People said the depot closed after a string of disappearances, but no one ever explained what happened to the drivers, or the passengers, or why the building was still kept locked and chained. I only went there once, and I can tell you this, the stories are true. It was nearly midnight when my own bus broke down on the highway. The driver told us to wait at the nearest stop, a place I quickly realized was the old depot. The building was a relic of the 1960s, concrete walls cracked with ivy, glass panels shattered and jagged mosaics. The flickering neon sign still reads City Transit Terminal, even though everyone swore the power had been cut years ago. I thought maybe another bus still used it, or maybe someone had restored part of it. But the second I stepped inside, I knew I was wrong. The air was heavy, stale with dust and something metallic, like rust, or blood. Rows of wooden benches stretched into the gloom, their varnish peeling like scabs. At the far end of the depot sat an old man, hunched over in a faded uniform, his cap tilted low so I couldn't see his eyes. He held a battered clipboard in one hand, and with the other he tapped his pen rhythmically against the wood. Tap. 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 At first, I thought he was writing something. But then I noticed he was counting. Quietly, under his breath, his lips moving with numbers that grew louder as the minutes passed. There were only 3 of us waiting that night, but his count was much higher, 30, 40, 50. The sound of his voice filled the cavernous station, echoing like a prayer. My skin prickled when I realized what he was counting wasn't us. The benches behind me creaked as if someone had sat down, though they remained empty. The faint shuffle of shoes scraped against the concrete floor, though no one was there. In the reflection of the cracked timetable board, I saw them, rows of passengers sitting shoulder to shoulder, pale and silent, their eyes hollow, their mouths opening and closing as if whispering names. The old man's voice rose sharply as a bus pulled into the depot, its headlights blinding, its brakes shrieking with a metallic scream. The doors hissed open and the invisible crowd rose as one, shuffling past me in a wind that smelled of decay. I wanted to run, but the old man finally looked up. His eyes were blank, white, his pen pointing straight at me. "You're late," he rasped, his voice echoing with the weight of countless others. "But don't worry. There's always room for one more." I don't remember how I escaped the depot. I only know I woke up on the roadside, hours later, with my clothes covered in dust and my bus ticket torn in half. When I went back in daylight, the building was chained shut, boarded up, as though it hadn't been touched in years. No benches. No clipboard. No old man. But sometimes, late at night, I hear the sound of a bus engine idling outside my window. And once, when I checked my reflection in the glass, I swear I saw the depot behind me, rows of hollow-eyed passengers staring, waiting. I tried to tell myself it was a trick of the light, fatigue playing cruel games, but the sound never stopped. It came every night at the same time, 2:17 a.m. a low, steady rumble, as if the bus were parked just outside my house. When I pulled back the curtains, the street was empty, yet the vibrations traveled through the floorboards, rattling glasses in the kitchen. I could almost smell the exhaust, acrid and heavy, coating my throat like smoke. The second week, I stopped sleeping altogether. The noise grew louder, sometimes accompanied by the hiss of hydraulic doors opening, followed by the rhythmic shuffle of dozens of unseen feet. One night, too weak with exhaustion to fight it, I crept to the door and pressed my ear against the wood. What I heard froze my blood, the driver's voice, gravelly and hollow, calling out stops. Not city names. Not streets. Just places no one should ever board from. Morgue. Asylum. Burn ward. Graveyard. Each name was punctuated by the sharp click of a pen against a clipboard. I stumbled back, certain I'd gone mad. Yet when I glanced at my reflection in the glass pane of the door, the depot was there again. Its benches filled, its ceiling lights buzzing dimly, and the old man staring straight at me as if he knew I was listening. Things escalated after that. At work, I began catching glimpses of the passengers in every reflective surface, the dull shine of my computer screen, the polished glass of the office doors, even puddles on the street. Their faces were always the same, slack-jawed, eyes like trained pools, lips mouthing my name silently over and over. Worse still, they were multiplying. At first, it was a row of them. Then 2 rows. Then entire crowds pressing against the glass, fogging it with breaths I couldn't feel. I started avoiding mirrors, even unplugging the bathroom light so I wouldn't catch myself in the medicine cabinet. But reflections are everywhere, and they always find you. The breaking point came 3 nights ago. The bus didn't idle this time. It stopped. My entire house shook as its headlights bled through every crack and curtain, washing the room in a sickly yellow glow. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, as the driver's voice bellowed my address, followed by, "Final stop." My door handle rattled violently, and from the kitchen window I saw a row of passengers pressed against the glass, their faces smeared across it as if trying to seep inside. Some of them looked new. Familiar. I swear I recognized coworkers. A neighbor. My late grandfather. Their mouths moved in unison, whispering, "Bored." I blacked out before I could see more. When I came to, my living room was dark, silent. But a bus ticket lay on my coffee table, yellowed, damp, and stamped with a time, 2:17 a.m. the date on it? Tomorrow night. I don't know what will happen if I'm here when that time comes. I've thought of running, leaving town altogether, but deep down I know the depot isn't a place you can escape. It doesn't exist in a single spot. It finds you, no matter where you hide. And if I've already been counted on this clipboard, then I'm not a passenger in waiting. I'm overdue. So if you ever hear a bus engine idling outside your window, don't check. Don't listen. Don't acknowledge the sound. Because the moment you do, you're no longer waiting for the bus is waiting for you. And when the old man finally calls your name, you won't be able to refuse. The first time I ignored my own warning, it wasn't out of courage, it was out of weakness. Sleep deprivation had twisted my thoughts, made me reckless. When the bus engine rumbled outside again at 2:17 a.m., I told myself I needed proof. Just one glimpse. Just one peek, so I could convince myself I was imagining it. Against everything in me, I pulled back the curtain. The street was empty, but the shadows weren't. A line of figures stood at the curb, shoulder to shoulder, their heads bent as if in prayer. They didn't move. They didn't breathe. And yet, the air between us vibrated with something heavy, like a low electrical current. Their faces, pale and smooth, tilted up in unison the moment I looked. I stumbled back, but I didn't scream, not because I was brave, but because I recognized them. Some of those faces belonged to strangers, hollow-eyed and forgotten. But scattered among them were people I knew. My mother. My best friend from childhood. My old boss. All of them dead. All of them waiting. Behind them, the bus doors opened with a hiss. The light spilling out was unnatural, yellow, yes, but not the color of bulbs or lamps. It was thick, like liquid, and it clung to their bodies as they filed inside. Every step they took echoed inside my house as though the floorboards themselves were amplifying it. Then came the old man. He descended the bus steps slowly, his clipboard in hand, pen scratching across the paper. He never looked up, but I knew he was aware of me. His lips moved as he counted, his voice spilling into the silence like gravel tumbling down a well. When he stopped, the pen tapped once, sharply. Tap. "Overdue," he whispered. I ran. I don't remember grabbing my shoes, or my keys, or even unlocking the door. I just remember the night air burning in my lungs as I sprinted down the street. I didn't look back, not once. I drove until dawn, until the sun painted the sky gold, until I believed that maybe, just maybe, daylight could shield me. But when I stopped for gas, I froze. The receipt printed from the pump bore no numbers, no total, just a time. 2:17 a.m. Since then, I've tried everything. Hotels. Different cities. Even boarding a real bus in desperation, hoping the mundane might overwrite the curse. But it doesn't matter. No matter where I go, no matter what bed I collapse into, the sound comes. Always at 2:17 a.m. always that low, idling growl. The passengers have grown bolder too. They no longer confine themselves to reflections. Sometimes I hear them in the next room, their shoes scuffing across tile. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of them in the corner of my vision, sitting in chairs, standing in doorways, their lips moving silently, rehearsing my name. Last night, I woke to find my phone vibrating. A notification lit the screen, "Your bus has arrived. One passenger remaining." The sender was blank. No number. No contact. My body went numb, and when I dropped the phone, it slid beneath the bed. That's when I saw it, the glow. A thin, yellow light leaking from the floorboards, pulsing slowly, as though something enormous idled just beneath my house. The engine roared once, like a beast clearing its throat, and every window rattled in its frame. I know what's coming tonight. The ticket on my table has changed. The smudge date has sharpened. It now reads today. The ink is wet, bleeding into the paper, and the time has shifted from arrival to departure. I don't think running will save me anymore. I don't think daylight will either. The depot isn't a place in the city, or a stop on a map, it's a destination in waiting, a purgatory with its own timetable. And my seat has been reserved since the night I first stepped inside. So I write this now not as a warning, but as a confession. I hear the engine outside again, louder this time, closer. The doors are opening, the hiss sharp enough to rattle my bones. I can hear the passengers shuffling into place, their voices rising in a single wordless hum that shakes the glass. When the old man calls my name, I will have no choice. The bus doesn't ask. It takes. And when I step inside, I know the seat beside me will be waiting for someone else, someone who makes the same mistake I did. If you hear the engine at 2:17 a.m., don't look. Don't listen. Don't even breathe. Because the moment you do, you'll see me sitting there. And I'll be waiting for you.